I touch up the scores here, Gary Oak. I want to give a shout out to two very special people here. J Rich 187, Canada represents, and of course, Captain Max. Now I always remember Captain Max is from UK, and this is gonna be a weird thing, but because his name's a captain, I think he's a ship captain. I for some reason associate ships with Britain. GG. But Gary Oak, why don't you take us away for introduction, sir?
Sure, it's good to be back. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Belshir Vestige, he's finding himself down 2-1 in this best-of-5 final. It is the Red Terran player, it's CMStormPolt.
Pew, pew, pew. Oh, sound effects are awesome. Guys, up here on the top left, his opponent on Belshir, it's QuanticApoc. And I can't get over how crazy this has been. I've not seen Polt put on the back burner like this in quite some time.
Yeah, he's finding himself down in this, so yeah, he's got to pull out his best here if he wants to beat Apoc, because Apoc's no pushover, and Apoc's going for a quick closer. He's going for, as the British would say, a closey rax.
Closey rax?
Yeah, it's a closey rax, right, Captain Max? Is that what they call it in the UK?
Well, whatever.
I say, it's a closey rax.
Whatever it's gonna be, Polt's gonna have Reapers out. He can try and defend against this, because Polt's barracks is still fairly early. This Rax,
yeah,
I feel it might not be able to put him out the amount of pressure Apocalypse wanted it to. This isn't an 888 Rax. This is just a forward regular Rax.
Yeah, it's not all in. It's just, it's not meant to kill. If Polt basically went for a, a command center first, especially on the low ground, this could kill Polt, but Polt's playing safe, so this is just going to be a pressure build. He's not sacrificing too much to do this, as you said. Like 888, that would be a huge commitment, but he's not doing that. He's going for a tech lab? Proxy Marauder. We haven't seen this in a long time.
Oh, this could work out really cool, especially because we got the factory coming out very quickly. Marine coming out first as well, going to work out very nicely here. This is a build. Okay, guys, Marauders, it's weird, because you transition into, like, Hellions as follow-up to this, but that's beside the point. You can try and get 1-2. But the Marauder with Concussive Shell, nothing in the early game could really deal with it. You can try and kite it with a Reaper, but the Concussive Shell keeps it in range. So, this is... Pulse is going to maybe be in some trouble. If he gets this full wall off, it's going to be hard to break, but Marauders, of course, tear down buildings fairly quickly.
Marauders, here's the thing. Marauders outrange Marines, and yes, Marines are technically a counter to Marauders, but in really low numbers, like one-on-one, Marauders actually destroy Marines if they have the Concussive Shell.
It's just the
health. They have so much health.
Yeah.
And
if he gets a bunker down too, that's pretty much it. SCV's immediately pulled.
Yeah, Polt knows this is serious. He's got to do this. He has to pull SCVs. He has to surround the Marauder, get a bit of a citizen's arrest on it. That's what he's trying to do, but another one is joining him, and Concussive Shell is done.
Oh, this is so good. I like that he was focusing the Marines behind this too.
Yes, that's really good micro. That's part of the thing that makes this rush powerful.
Now Polt is going to try to get this bunker up. If he gets this bunker up, he'll hold this.
And, oh, beautiful surround on both
Marauders. That's going to be it for Apoc. That's not good, Gary Oak.
That was a perfect hold. That got shut down so hard, but let's look at losses here. Yeah, Apoc lost twice as many resources, but worker count is actually even.
Well, and the big thing to point out, this wasn't an all-in. We talked about it before. This was... It puts his barracks in a very awkward position, but we saw him building SCVs behind this. He's got the factory on the way. He's still in this, guys, for absolute sure, but that shut that down so nicely.
Yeah, and Polt only has one base. He's on the 1-1-1 infrastructure, and he's going for the Banshee, which is actually a good follow-up, because Polt knows, well, you're probably lifting your racks, so you don't have any units at home.
Yeah, rushing out of starboard of his own. He'll try and get a Viking out, but scans. He needs so much energy for scans.
He doesn't have Cloak supporting this, though. This is just a vanilla Banshee. He might get Cloak later, but not right now. I think this is just for pressure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been getting this reactor and tech lab on the factory. Yeah, he's going for tanks. He's not getting Cloak at all.
This is going to be so cool. I mean, there's the damage you can do with the Banshee is limited. Because, of course, if a Viking comes out first, which I imagine it will, yeah. I mean, this will pop, but at the same time, the Banshee gets over to the base.
Yeah, this Banshee will be completely deflected, but it was a good move by Polt. And yeah, he's building the turret. Like, I don't even think he scouted this at all. He saw the starport. So that was his tip-off, and he knows this is a very good response to what happens when the Marauder rush is held, and he knows how to transition out of it, especially because it's not all in. It's just step one. So Pult might lose his Banshee, and that would actually be pretty disastrous. That would swing the lead back into Apoc's favor.
He's got to pick off a couple units before he does. He needs to get at least 3 SCV kills, but not even, just barely 1.
And he bruises the Marine. That was not worth it.
A nice placement on that Widow Mine. Shut that down so promptly, Gary Oak.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And we've got a basically even game now with a very slight lead possibly to Apoc, but Pult's moving out, and he's probably just going to secure his natural here. Yes, he is. But he's not floating it down. He actually has to build a command center here. And Apoc's got his command center slightly ahead of Pult, but in his main, so Pult's got a little bit of a leg up on the pile for the expansion.
I'm just looking at the way this is going here for Apoc. I mean, he started off risky, and I like that he did that, but following up with that Banshee kind of helped even out that risk, if that makes sense to say. I mean, because it did no damage, it just, I don't know. Widow Mine's coming in now. I can't get over how cool that potentially was, but Apocalypse, man, with the cool opening, responding with an even cooler head.
Yeah, it's a really good opening, and yeah, this Widow Mines could do quite a bit of damage. Does Pult have much at home?
Oh,
Sorry about that, I
tanks.
think like us.
Well, actually, we now have Cloaks starting. The Banshee, or sorry, not the Banshee, but the Widow Mine can't really get in here. Tank's positioned so nicely.
But that's only one mine. He just baited out all those tank shots, and now he's dropping multiple in the mineral line here. And is Pult going to respond? He does respond. He does split everything.
Yeah,
those Widow Mines, he gets out with 2 of them, so this is a good drop. He still has to pick off the one by the refinery. If he doesn't pick that off, that'll do catastrophic damage. Possibly.
Well, actually, no, because if the SCV goes into the refinery as it charges, it might do no damage whatsoever.
Yeah, it's probably going to hit, like, the one worker instead of the cluster. Like, that's how Widow Mines always go, and it's going to get another shot off. Pult did not notice.
Well, I was commenting, I like the... Yeah,
it hits 1.
Well,
Yep.
It's the gas money one. It's not like you can splash damage on SCVs anyways, but I like that there's a Raven follow-up to this.
Yes.
There's so many good things encompassed with Ravens now. The Secret Missile's so cheap, and it does so much splash damage versus Marines. It helps deal with Vikings as well. Not to mention the potential of the point defense drone, but Apocalypse isn't done with these Widow Mines yet, Gary Oak.
Yeah, and there's Cloak Banshees following this up too, so that's pretty neat.
I like that he's still doing damage with this. I can't believe it. Lifts up and still gets away with one of his Widow Mines intact.
Yeah, he's just getting as much as he can, and okay, yes, he finally has picked everything off, so let's see. He's getting the tech lab on his barracks. I wonder what he's going to use this reactor for. Probably another Rax.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Slap
now
it
he's
down.
finally going into bio. Really delayed bio transition. Just now getting his 2nd and 3rd barracks at the 11-minute mark.
Well, Apocalypse with his own Banshee going to come in here now. Unfortunately, there is a Widow Mine very nicely and precisely positioned, but if he would have just gone ahead from the north... Oh, Gary Oak cloaks just in time.
That was a perfect cloak timing, and forces the SCVs off the line, kills 1.
I wonder if he knows how perfect that cloak timing was, though, like, really.
I don't know, if he decides to watch the replay, he'll just be like, yeah.
Alright, well, drop actually going off at the same time. Marines in the main. Banshee's chasing off the natural.
He's going to kill a reactor. And meanwhile, Pult's just ignoring this. He's too far committed. He's going to try and do some damage, but look at Apoc's defense. He's got a tank and a bunker and a tank in the main.
Oh, I'd like for him to throw a Secret Missile on one of those tanks. Of course, it won't kill the tank, but it will soften them up quite nicely.
And that's important. He is bum rushing with the SCVs, but...
Oh, he loses the Raven! Only a point defense, or sorry, even an auto turret only goes down.
But meanwhile, Pult's base took a lot of damage. He's just now cleaning this drop up. And the dropship it's destroyed. Okay.
I think Apoc's going to lose this, Gary. Look at this at home. 1 tank defending. 3 tanks still advancing. He's got that Banshee, though.
He's killing all the anti-air. There's the last Banshee. It gets away, and there's only a few Marines left.
This is so scary.
This is so close. And he is starting to retake that, but how much infrastructure damage should Pult take? Not too severe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope he's not over-dedicated. Both players losing 15 workers apiece on even workers at this point, too. I don't want Pult to dedicate to this thinking he has to all in or anything. I mean,
he kills the Banshee.
He's denying the natural for a really long time, too. This is great.
Yeah, this really helps Pult get a bit of a lead here. And this is really close. Like, for a second, it looked like Pult was done for, but then he cleaned that up, and that Banshee... These Banshees are just destroying these tanks. Pult has to get out of here now. He has to stim to force that away so he can secure a retreat.
Well, there's one medevac still alive. I mean, Polt's... This is so surreal for me because Polt is a player who's always dropping, whether it's TVT, TVZ, TVP, but I'm really shocked that APOC has had him on his... Like, APOC's been the one dropping. Polt hasn't been able to do jack all.
Yeah, and that's really important because that's one of the ways you can really get ahead in this matchup, and right now, looks like we have a third base coming up for Polt, as usual. He's always ahead on that third command center, but so far it hasn't really been paying off in this series.
No.
APOC's gonna push out too.
Well, let's take a look at the tech real quick. Both players, sorry, +1, but the combat shields, the stim, such a big deal here for Polt.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially in a biconic composition like this.
Yeah,
that's really important. Look at this flank by Polt too.
APOC's Marines are just nothing in comparison.
Yeah, he has tanks, but Polt has tanks too. He has more tanks, at least with his push. And he tries to target a Banshee, fails to do it, but both these Banshees are running on fumes now for cloaking energy.
But this is a very classic problem, where a Terran player is forced, like, look, Polt did a lot of damage economically to catch him up to this game. He forced the lift off, whatever. Apocalypse wants to respond, but you just can't. You can't break these siege lines without massive amounts of units.
Yeah, and this forces Apocalypse to just retreat, and meanwhile Polt's third command center is up. It's being morphed into an orbital now, so he will be able to start thinking about a third base, and meanwhile he does have a Marine just sitting at the normal third base for Apocalypse, so he knows that he's not behind here, and APOC is just now throwing his orbital up. So Polt ahead in this regard. And he has both watchtowers secured. That's important. APOC does sneak around to the side, though.
Yeah, that map vision, that map controls everything.
Look at that
but
Marine spots it.
Tank count's actually fairly even. APOC with significantly more Marines, but of course under-teched for the time being.
I think Polt's fairly secure here, because he can afford to just sit back for a bit and macro up a bit, make sure he's stable before he pushes out. Oh, I love this by Polt. Turret ring at his main base.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get caught off by that same drop tactic once again, but... Ugh, taking some very nasty hits there, both players.
Yeah, this is what happens with tank lines, though. It can get really messy.
I tell you, Gary, Polt more than anything wants to drop these Marines somewhere else on the field right now, but he knows he can't. If he leaves these tanks unassisted, they will go down very quickly. And
These tanks are like children. You got to babysit them, and he picks off a Banshee. That was kind of worth it.
Well, he picked up most of the Marines. Like, a lot of them didn't actually die. It just kind of looked like that. But repairing the tank, trying to keep this thing alive.
He tried to bulldog that. Apocalypse did, but it was deflected by Polt. That was close.
Medevac making it look like it wants to drop something, but nope. Just with that extra vision, I guess. With no Vikings here, he can't really stim up to kill the Medevac.
He lost the Banshee. That was important. Now he has to use Medevacs as spotters.
Both players
just sitting there with their Medevacs, and now he got a bit of a stalemate here with a no man's land. And these situations, that's when Polt can drop, but APOC is macroing behind this, and he actually has a significant lead. And APOC's got the contain, and look at this. He's taking his third base before Polt does.
But that drop is going to be hard-pressed to do damage, Garyok, because there's still so much at home for Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's not like he's completely dedicating everything.
These freaking Terran wannabe overlords here on the tank lines, these medevacs.
Yeah, and Apocalypse does see that drop, so he should be fine. He's got more than enough to defend here. And there's a sensor tower, too. Both players have them, so...
But this is a great contain from Apocalypse, because Polt, while having 3 command centers, if he can't establish a third base, what's the point? He will slowly fall behind his opponent.
Yeah, and yeah, you can build triple SCVs, but when you're fully saturated, it doesn't matter. It just means you can instantly saturate your next base.
Not to mention, it gets to that point, too, where attrition is something to consider. I mean, fast forward 20 minutes from now, Polt's completely mined out and still can't break. That's it, that's game.
Thing is, if Polt does break out of this in a little while and we get to a much later game...
Gary Oak.
Oh my god.
That is the flying... Drop. Not only that, it's the flying V. It's the freaking Mighty Duck drop coming out.
Freaking Emilio Estevez out here. Just dropping.
Oh, but it gets scouted. Unloading a little preemptively, but that's okay. Now, will this QApoc to push? He can't really afford. I mean, this contain is all he can afford to do right now until the other part of his army gets here. Polt dropping in the main, though. Medevac looks like it's gone down, but the engineering bay, if this engineering bay gets sniped off before the +2.
He cancels +2 armor. That's important. Polt's going to have a huge upgrade lead now.
Oh, but unfortunately, Apocalypse streaming in here with units from both sides. Polt will lose his northern tanks, but not before Apocalypse sets up for siege mode.
Does Polt have enough to defend? I think he does, just barely.
He's just ever so barely. Reinforcements will hold this, but Polt's army now pushing in offensively. Bunker falls down. Apocalypse. Oh my goodness.
He's going in for the command center, and GG! We've got a tie.